Good evening, everybody. Here's another video for you all. So this video is going to combine content for 2 days. So January 9th and January 10th. And that's just because that's the group A and B splitting for anatomy lab as well as this physiology lecture from Dr. Talbot. I just wanted to wait until everybody saw it, just so the cards I went over today didn't seem too overwhelming. So this video covers January 9th and 10th, but I'll have an individualized video for the 11th, probably the 12th as well. But let's get started. So we're going to jump right into it. Before we go into the On King deck and the first aid, I just want to stop down at Blue Link and preface this right now that if you want to activate what I think is the rest of the cards for the thoracic cavity, not renal, we've done renal yet, just thoracic cavity, you can go down to the posterior mediastinum, if I said that right. Might make some people laugh my pronunciations, but you can activate all the cards here. This is everything we do have to know. I was just saving this just to give me a little less cards, but I mean, with the long weekend coming up and the lighter content later this week, you can just get started now, I think, if you want to, or you can save it, totally up to you. But that should be it for the thoracic cavity because we did the heart, that's all activated, posterior mediastinum, and then if you did the superior in my previous video, that should be thoracic cavity, and then we will just do renal later. But then we're going to jump into the cards related to some more of our didactic content as well as some seminar stuff. So we're going to go to first aid, and we're going to come down to cardiovascular, and we're going to start in anatomy. And all I did was I opened up these blood vessels here and I activated all the cards here. Some of them seem pretty, common sense, straightforward. But I just want to, get the anatomy down in my mind with, where is the blood flowing? Where is it getting resistance? Kind of building that series and parallel network that Dr. Talbot was describing in our lecture. Get that built in my head. And then these cards also include questions related to the like the adrenergic receptors and kind of tying in some stuff we learned in FOM3 that will come back into play here in this FOM. So some cards in here as well, and then kind of what a little bit of like I had one card there. I don't know, but these are good cards. And then we're going to get out of anatomy. And we're going to jump down to the physiology section, and there are a lot of cards here. So I'm just going to keep glancing over at my notes. We're going to start right off in number 1, cardiac autonomic physiology. Grab all of this. This is all huge key takeaways from Dr. Talbot's lecture. So getting over some vocabulary, going over, some receptors, and then how, going over how the nervous system interacts with the heart. Contractility, there are some in here. I wouldn't say all of them because there's some concepts we don't know yet. So I wouldn't worry about those quite yet. So grab the first card. Well, I guess start by making sure your cards are organized the same as mine, just in case your numbers vary. But grab the first card. We're going to skip 4. It's been a long day. Grab 5, 6, skip this number of cards. Grab these 3 here. Skip these 4. Grab this one, skip 1, and grab these cards here. Okay. So hopefully I left a little bit of delay there for you to pause. And then we're not going to worry about the rest of the stats section there. So we're going to close 1 and we're going to move right on to 2. And I just want you to grab these cards in the basics. Skip these, the 3 and the 4, but the first 2 are helpful to know. And so are the last 2. And that's just kind of to help think about the physiology of the heart as it's pumping, where the high pressure is, and kind of where the pressure changes are. We're not going to worry about mean arterial pressure or pulse pressure quite yet, and we're going to skip over the Starling curve, and we're going to go right to 4 in blood flow. Grab all, or we're going to stay strictly within blood flow. We don't want to really worry about these other ones quite yet, just because I looked and they're just a little too deep for how they've been mentioned. So grab the blood flow one. This goes over directly one of the top hat questions that Dr. Talbot had in. lecture. So this is a great, easy 4 cards to really understand this equation. Um, so that is it for 4. And then we're going to skip over 5. We're going to go to 6. And 6, ooh, 6 has some good stuff. So cardiac cycle. Yeah, this is just kind of, yeah, we're going to just focus on the first 2. So cardiac cycle. I mean, what you could do is if you want to activate all of it, you can. And the cards that you don't want, the ones you do not want, are the ones that are related to this Venus pulse curve. So activate all of them. The Venus pulse curve, like the A wave, we don't know that yet. This one I decided not to keep. It's referring to where to listen for the S3, S4, and it's just left lateral decubitus position, which we didn't. That wasn't a key takeaway for us. And then this is going back to the that curve. So the Venus pulse curve, Venus pulse curve, Venus pulse curve, Venus pulse curve. So, but that is also found here. So if you wanted to, you could activate all of this and then just come here in the Venus, jugular Venus pulse and just deactivate them again, if that makes it easier for you. And then we'll go to heart sounds. All of these ones are really good, kind of tying in some C&R to it. So the ones I, again, don't want are the, I didn't like this left lateral decubitus card. And this is tying in the A wave of the Venus pulse curve as well. So you can activate all of them and then deactivate this one here and then just go here and deactivate these ones after activating these first 2 chunks. And that is it for 6. And then we'll be coming down. I'm going to skip over splitting. We kind of learned that in a general sense of that's like if you inhale, you can cause the splits. In this, there's a card to explain that, but I'm not going to go over the pathology of splitting, like diving down that rabbit hole quite yet until it becomes much more apparent that we need to know it to just know in general what splitting does, or like what it sounds like. And then you can see here the auscultation of the heart and heart murmurs are 2 sections. And looking at it, like there's a lot of information. There's some that might be helpful, but for me right now, it's overwhelming. And I want to, I think, look into CMR a little bit more to see what we really have to know versus diving in. But like if you want to listen to some sounds, there's some sounds here where you can preview. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's like a thump, yeah, thumping. So you can listen to some sounds here if you want. I'm going to come back and revisit it after looking at seminar this weekend to see if there, anything that is really going to be helpful or if it's just this is going to confuse me more. So you can investigate that if you want, and that's under 9 and 10. So I'm not activating any cards in those 2 sections, but I'm going to skip down to 11. And 11 has a lot of great stuff, so much great stuff that you can activate all of it. So you don't have to worry about anything in the smaller weights, just activate all of 11. I highly recommend it because there's a lot of key takeaways for Dr. Talt's lecture. Same for 12 and 13 for the most part. 12 is everything. 13, getting into electrocardiograms, so that EKG or ECG. What you can do is come down and break it into the 2 parts, activate all of the conduction pathway, and then come down to waves, and you can activate all of them except for these 3 here that refer to the J points, the U wave, and then asking about or saying what part indicates an myocardial infarction and heart attack. Just because those haven't been mentioned yet, he might mention, Dr. Brown might mention the J point and the U wave in the coming days. But for right now, I'm just going to stick with these cards, something to chew on for the time being. Gives me a couple days of new cards to get through. But in the event that we do have to learn some abnormal EKGs, there's a whole bunch here. So just kind of giving you a little snippet of where we could find some study materials for that. But that is it for today's video. So hopefully that was quick, concise presentation of a whole bunch of cards to help you get even more confused. Hopefully not get more confused, but right now I'm confused on cardiology. So that is it for the video. Wish you all the best of luck studying. Yeah, and thanks for watching.